Alrighty, so let's start at the front. If you saw the previous generation Trax, you can see that it's a completely new vehicle. I want to point out this one does have the black bow tie, which with being the Active and having all the other black accents really ties in and makes it, you know, a complete look. The black grille is specific to the Active, as well as the trim that we're going to see at the bottom. And what that does is all together just gives it a little bit more aggressive, a little bit sportier, some say, definitely a little bit more of an upscale appearance. All right, so let's talk about what powers the Trax. It is a 1.2 liter turbocharged engine. And the way it works is it tries to be as efficient as possible by taking the waste exhaust, powering the turbo, which has a two-ended spool. So the more exhaust you have, the more engine or the more air you're actually shoving into your engine. So what that's gonna do is it's gonna allow you to get the most horsepower out of the smallest displacement, and also the best combination of horsepower, performance, and fuel economy. So what that's gonna do for you is it's gonna give you one package that's gonna be sipping gas when you're cruising around, and it's gonna weave in and out of traffic when you need to go. Let's talk about lights. So we do have LED running lights and LED headlights, and that's great because not only does it look great, but it's gonna help keep you and your family safer when there's not much light out. Another thing worth noting is that LED lights last a lot longer than your traditional halogen. So it's one of those things that getting used to replacing bulbs isn't something we're gonna have to get used to. So let's work our way down the Trax. The Trax is wider than the previous generation Trax, which really shows in the overall aesthetics of it, but it also gives you a little bit more stability. So what that does is on an on-ramp, on an off-ramp, taking a sharp curve, any situation where being more planted is valuable, it's gonna assist you for that. So let's talk about the wheels. It's a 18-inch gloss black wheel on the Active, and it does come with a Goodyear Assurance all-season tire. So the tire, the all-season is great. What it is it's a compound that's designed to work in almost all scenarios. Being in the Midwest, where we might have an 80-degree day and then a 20-degree day within a week, it is really nice to have one tire that's gonna work for the whole year. Nobody wants to be switching tires, every season. So what that does is it allows you to have the best traction possible all year round. So moving along to the mirrors, it is a power heated mirror on the Active. So what that is the mirrors are heated along with the back window. So when you hit the rear defrost on the inside or you remote start the vehicle, it's going to automatically warm everything up. So what that does is you walk out to the vehicle on a really cold day, maybe there's frost on it. Well, if you gave it 5 minutes, 10 minutes to remote start, most likely you're not gonna have to brush the vehicle off. You're gonna get away with pushing the button here, which is the passive entry, and driving. So the passive entry, as long as the key's within a few feet of the vehicle, you just hit the button. You can lock and unlock the vehicle with it. So what that does is it allows you to throw the key in your pocket, in your bag, walk out to the vehicle, hit the button, it unlocks, you hop in, hit the start button, and that also allowed you to get in the vehicle and drive away without ever having to pull the key out. So that's gonna save you time, but really it's a convenience thing, right? We walk out to our vehicles with enough stuff as it is. We don't need another one. So fuel economy, 28 city, 32 on the highway, so we're gonna average around 30 miles per gallon. That's great, nobody's gonna complain about more fuel economy. If you're going from something that gets less than that and you hop into the Trax, you're gonna, every time you stop to fill up, you're gonna be thanking the Trax. So let's talk about the back of the Chevy Trax. So having the spoiler up here is really nice, adds to the sleekness, but it also is gonna improve the aerodynamics. So what that does is the less drag coefficient the vehicle has, the more fuel economy you're gonna get for the most part. So this is gonna help to that, aside from looking great. The taillights, everybody loves, when you see these from behind, you just see them driving by, the taillights are really aggressive, really sporty, but yet they're still elegant. They're not too in your face, but they're definitely fun to look at. And then specific to the Active, you'll see the trim down at the bottom. So it's gonna have that polished finish. It is like a midnight finish. I don't know exactly what it's called, but it is absolutely gorgeous and it really finishes off the rear end of the vehicle. And then the last piece, the bow tie. Gotta have it to match the front one, and it definitely gives it the great look all the way around. So let's talk cargo room. The Trax does have class leading cargo room, but one thing I really want to mention is on a lot of vehicles, it's a two-part thing to move the seats. On a lot of vehicles, you have, as like the previous generation Trax, you had to fold this up to be able to fold this down. But now in the new Trax, all I have to do is with this lever right here, boom, and it is so close to level. I'm not gonna say it's perfectly level, but it's so as close to level as you're gonna get, even in the mid-size SUV segment. And I can release that. So you saw me release it from the front. I can also release it from the back. On the Active is actually the only way to get a power seat on a Trax. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna go ahead and I got myself in a good seating position with the power seat. It does have lumbar. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to get out of the vehicle and I'm gonna get directly in the back seat just to show the kind of room that you get on the Trax. So we're talking, I have about 8 inches here between my knee and the driver's seat, and I'm about 6 feet tall. So it's not unrealistic that you could have, 5 adults in here and not feel super crammed. You could go on a little road trip, go on a little adventure, and have fun with your friends and family while being comfortable. So with the safety packages, we also have the forward collision alert. So what that does is you're coming up on a vehicle or an object and you're not applying your brakes, it thinks you're gonna crash, it's going to alert you. It does have automatic emergency braking, so it does actually apply the brakes to help you slow down. Now the key is it helps you slow down, right? The point of it would be to take you from a 70-mile-an-hour impact down to a 30-mile-an-hour impact. Sometimes it could completely bring you to a stop, but it's not guaranteeing that it's completely gonna stop you. And that also works for pedestrians. So if you don't notice somebody in the crosswalk, which happens sometimes, at sundown or whatnot, it's gonna alert you there. So on the sides, we do have the blind spot monitoring. The blind spot monitoring is great. If someone's in your blind spot, it's gonna light up the indicator. And what that does is it gives you a visual without having to look over your shoulder that someone is there. So it's one of those things that I do believe it's very valuable. If you put your blinker on, if you started to merge into the side when someone was actually in your blind spot, it's going to go ahead and actually beep at you. It's going to give you all kinds of alerts, and it could actually pull the wheel to keep you back in lane. So that brings me right next into the lane keep assist with lane departure warning. So if you do start to swerve out of a lane, it can pull you back in. It will also give you warnings. What that does is, we always have to keep track of where we're going, but sometimes you drop something, we just have that split second where we, aren't paying attention. It's kind of nice to have the vehicle there, just kind of watching our back. And then the backup camera is super awesome in this vehicle. So the backup camera is very, very bright, and it's one of those things that it's nice to have the projection. So as I turn the steering wheel, it's going to project where the vehicle is actually going to go. So what that does is it makes it super easy and predictable when you're backing up, really takes the guesswork out of it. And I do want to point out the red line here, the first line, that's essentially 12 inches from your bumper. So if you're backed up to that, you essentially just have enough room to walk through the vehicle. So while we're on the inside here, we have the cruise control on the left, which I'm not going to get into too much, but this button right here is where we would select our gap for the following distance. We have a heated steering wheel here. So this vehicle does have the heated steering wheel, which in the wintertime is priceless, which goes along with the heated seats. I do love the vehicle or the driver display information in the Trax. It's hard to catch on the camera, but it is a crystal clear, beautiful display. And you can customize it a little bit to what you want. So that's super nice. While we're here, the vehicle does support wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And what that does is it allows you to basically hop in the vehicle, go. If you have your navigation set to go somewhere, it's going to go ahead and just hop on and go. If you wanted to be here and say, take me to Culver's.
There's a Culver's 1.2 miles away. Want to navigate there?
That's how easy it is. So it's one of those things that Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, don't take it for granted. On the Trax, it is this beautiful giant display. And really, it's a convenience thing and it's a quality thing. When you're listening to your music, your audiobooks, whatever, you're gonna get the highest quality playback through that. So just talking about the interior, it is really the one thing that most people, they get wowed by. The fit and finish, I do think is great. Not what somebody expects when I tell them, hey, come in and look at one of the least expensive SUV options on the market. I will say for the money, without a doubt, it is definitely the best bang for the buck out there. And what I mean by that is the interior. So as we look around, The fit and finish is just gorgeous. The stitching is excellent. We got yellow piping on the Active model. If you told me I was in a vehicle less than $30,000, I really wouldn't believe you right now. We have the automatic climate control, like I mentioned, the wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, the technology display. I would say that there are a lot of vehicles to get into something like this, you're gonna have to spend at least $35,000. Oh, and did I mention it has a sunroof? So I can either tilt that or vent it, depending on what I would like to do. I could open it completely, or I could just vent it. And what that does is kind of just keeps you a little bit more connected to nature if you so choose to do that day.